up, everybody? What's up, everybody? I'm Josh Markowitz with Wrestling Republic, and today I'm honored to have this man on the show. He's a third-generation wrestler coming from the infamous Samoan dynasty and one half of your new MLW Tag Team Champions. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today, Lance Anoa'i. How you been, Lance?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on the show, man. It's a pleasure, man. Got to represent for MLW and the Samoan Swat Team.
Of course, man. Yeah, I'm excited to talk some wrestling. So, before we start with all the questions and all that good stuff, first time I met you, I was 8 years old, about maybe this tall, maybe even shorter than that. We were in Allentown, Pennsylvania, at your father, aka former WWE Tag Team Champion Samu, training center, and I just remember like having that 16 minutes for my birthday just to come in, hit the ropes. You suplexed me, and it was just so awesome. And like, just want to say like thanks again for like creating that memory because like that memory just lives on forever with me.
Nah, man. Thanks for coming out, man, and taking a look at our school and just being there with us, man. That's where a lot of us were trained and bred it, man, for this business. And now you got to see what it was like in our shoes. Yeah, but I do remember your little jumping around, coming to the top rope, man, right away. You had no fear, man. You were just going.
Yeah, I was ready to
And
do some Uso
it was fun,
splashes.
man.
I think I was the only 8-year-old in the world that was like genuinely excited to be suplexed by Lance Anoa'i.
Man, I think I gave you something, man. Like you gave me like a headlock takeover or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great times though. But yeah, so I mean, I wanted to start off to talk a bit about your in-ring experience alongside your family. I mean, you've been able to tag team alongside many people, including your own father, Samu, which is like the dream for second and third generation wrestlers. So what is that experience like teaming alongside your father and other family members?
Man, just teaming against a lot of them, man, is just it's a huge learning experience for me. Even till now, like 13 years I've been doing it every time I step foot in the ring with a family member or just anybody. Uh it's a big learning experience. I learn from them. I get their critique after the match. Especially when I'm calling a match, like they'll sit there and listen to how I call. They'll just tell me where to change, how to change what, or where to put input a certain move, or just guided me in the right direction. And um, like I had the pleasure of like being trained by my father and my grandfather, and
Yeah.
also Tommy Dreamer was a big part of my training also. But just to have those brains right there, breading me, getting me ready for the business, to follow in all their footsteps, it was awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, just to add on, I mean, your family is so knowledgeable about this sport, and I mean, they all have different experiences, and just like you said, you've learned so much from them along the way. So I wanted to ask if you could come up with one thing. What is like the best thing you've learned from anyone in your family, whether that's your father, your grandfather, Roman, the Usos, anyone?
Man, always stay humble, man, and just know my worth, man. Like, don't go out there for nothing, man. Like, I'm part of the biggest wrestling family in the world,
Yeah,
um, and just show that, and you know who you are, you know where you come from, and that's what I, that's what my uncle Rikishi, my dad, my grandfather, even Roman, man. They always we know where we came from, and we like to represent for our blood.
yeah, it's awesome, and I think that's a huge like moral to have, especially in professional wrestling when you got to respect everyone, your opponent. I mean, everyone. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, obviously you've been surrounded by professional wrestling since, I mean, you were just a baby, but I wanted to know, like, was there a single moment in time where it really just kind of like, clicked in your head, like, this is what I want to do? Or was it kind of just like being around for so long, seeing it happen right in front of your eyes?
Man, just being with my father, like traveling the road and everything, like I never wanted to do it. I was always a baseball player. I enjoyed
Uh,
football, baseball, basketball, like everything outside. I love being at the shows with my father, watching it. Just like my kids now, man, they love going to shows with me. So it's but this is nothing that they want to do. They just love being there. So that was me as a kid. Um and then finally, like in high school, I got injured, and then my family always said use wrestling as a backup plan for me. Always
right.
pursue my dreams, push as far as I want, do what I want, but wrestling ain't going nowhere. It's always gonna be there. So once I got injured in my senior year in high school, I quickly hit the switch and I turned to wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you mentioned your family as well. And so, I mean, the family business is so big and seems like the family tree just never stops growing. Like it
No,
just
man, we
always,
just keep growing, man, and
yeah.
growing, like
And yeah, and I mean, there's Nia Jax, Tamina Snuka, so many great women as well in that tree. And I know you have a daughter. What are your thoughts on her joining the family business? I know some people are kind of against daughters joining the business or their sons, but I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
man, if that's something she wants to pursue and do, man, shoot for the stars. Like I'll
Yeah,
tell her the same thing I was always told. Wrestling is always a backup. She loves they love dance, gymnastics, they love all that stuff. So if they want to do that first and then, ends up in wrestling, man, who knows? Like I didn't know till I was 18 years old.
right. Yeah, I think that's awesome, and I'm sure you'd love to see your daughter win the WWE Women's Championship eventually.
Yeah, man. Like you just never know.
Right,
Jake,
and
Jacob Fatu, man, my own cousin, man, he got 7 kids. So maybe one of them seven will, but
wow, I
who
did
knows,
not
man.
know that.
Yeah, man, our family, man, we got a lot of kids.
That is crazy. And yeah, I mean, just mentioning you've got so much gold in your family. I would think hundreds of belts have been collected all over the world from like just your family alone, which is just so crazy to think about. So for you as a wrestler, what has the pressure been like to follow in your father and your grandfather's footsteps and your cousins, like knowing how successful they are and they were in the business?
Man, there was a lot of pressure to begin with. I always didn't want to be the guy that didn't make it, the guy who um pushed, followed a dream, and just didn't fit like it didn't fit me.
Right.
But so far, man, 13 years, man, like it was in the beginning, it was a little rough, but now, man, like 13 years, I got an MLW contract. I'm in talks with Japan right now.
Wow.
Like things are going right now for me, and to follow footsteps, and like I'm a MLW champion right now. So like you said, our family, we're all dripped in gold, man. We got the Usos, we got Roman Reigns, me
Yep.
and Juicy, uh, Alpha, my uncle Alpha Jr. He's an outlaw champion in New York. He's a Polynesian champion out of Hawaii, man. Like we got so much gold, and like you said, my father's a former tag team champion. You have The
Yeah.
Rock, you got Umaga, Rikishi, just man, like the
Just
list
keeps
just goes
going.
on, man. Like, and man,
Yeah.
now you got Solo, man. Who knows, man? He may get some gold a lot around his way soon too, man. But we just going, man, and we love it.
Exactly, and I mean, you just mentioned Japan, so I don't know how in depth you can go with that, but is there any specific brands you're looking at in Japan? I mean, I know there's several Japanese promotions.
Just Japan, man.
All
That's all
right.
I can really say right now. But Japan has a lot of big wrestling, and it is one of the bigger companies. So, man, we just gotta wait and see, man. More details to come.
All right, I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, so just like continuing the talk about your family, and during COVID, one of the better storylines WWE has ever done was between your cousins, Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. And now, I mean, unfortunately, it was in front of the empty arena at that time with, Corona and all that. But for you, how cool was that to kind of watch that story unravel? And even now with WrestleMania on the horizon, to just see them kill it at the highest level of the highest promotion there is.
Man, like you said, man, they killed it. Like everybody was down during the whole pandemic, and nobody really knew what to do with themselves, man. Like, and I felt like I even gave up watching wrestling for a while, and man, just them two, just the storytelling just brought everybody back. To me, it's one of the best storylines in almost wrestling history. They did, and I feel like if they would have did it in a live, like with a live crowd, man, it would have been even bigger than what it was. But it's huge even now with an empty arena, and I feel like they could have went a little bit further with it. But man, it's all good, man. Like we the bloodline.
Right. I mean, how much more, like, do you think it would have been as effective if, I mean, how effective, like, how much different would that have been if there were 20,000 fans sitting in the arena, that storyline?
Man, I think it would be big, man. Like look at how it was these past like few shows at Mania. Like everybody was wondering what Jey Uso is gonna do. Is he gonna turn on the bloodline? Is he gonna go with Sammy? Like, and everybody wanted him to turn on Roman. So it would have been, I think it would have been even bigger. Like,
Right. And yeah, I mean, I got one last question before we move on to the kind of current Major League Wrestling stuff. I mean, we've been mentioning it the last 10 minutes. Your family is so big. And I mean, your family, have some of the best talents the professional wrestling industry has ever seen before, and all just in your bloodline. And if I mean, we'll let you be the fantasy booker. If you were to step in the ring with one member of your family right now, I mean, who would it be?
Man, I probably got a different answer every time just because I'll be like, I get that question a lot. And man,
Yeah.
like I would love to be in the ring with all of them. Man, just man, we can have a big like I don't know, six-way scramble, whatever. All the
You
family, man. Usos, Solo, me, Jacob. It don't matter, man.
could
But
do
I think the
generation. Yeah.
yeah, man. But I think honestly, the biggest match I want to have is with my cousin Jacob Fatu, man.
Yeah.
Whether it's an MLW, whether it's anywhere, man. Like I think it's a main event caliber match, man. And I think the chemistry that me and him have, because we tagged for a while and just everything was on point, man. We were spot on. Just like I said, the chemistry, and that's big, especially in tag team wrestling. Like the
Yeah.
Usos, man, they got their tag team, man. They blood brothers, man. They know what they're doing before they do it, and
Right.
and I feel like that's how me and Jacob are, man. And I feel like we'll just have a killer of a match if we ever step foot one on one with each other.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. I mean, Jacob just absolutely killed it. He came up really close. He didn't win, but I mean, against Alex Hammerstone last
Oh
week, I mean,
yeah,
he
man. Well, yeah,
absolutely killed it.
I do have to have a talk with him, man, because we're all supposed to be dripped in gold, man, and he didn't come out on top. But man, it's all good, man. He is
Yeah,
he was the longest defending MLW champion in history, so
yeah, yeah. It's
got a
awesome,
lot of
and
respect for him.
right. And I mean, so you're currently signed to Major League Wrestling, and I mean, you're just like you mentioned, you're wrestling with Jacob and also Juicy under the Samoan SWAT team. I mean, that name is absolutely legendary. I mean, the team started back in I think 1987 with your father, and I mean, they wrestled in
You said
WCW.
87?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah, nah, it was huge, man. Like you just said, even Big Paul Heyman, man, just made a post about
Yeah,
the
I just
OG
saw that.
Samoan SWAT team, man. Like my father and my uncle Rikishi, man, like, and even like Jacob's father, Tonga Kid, Little Sam, man, he like that's the original Samoan SWAT team. And just to
Yeah.
be able to carry the name, oh sorry, but that I'm sure that was a question you were gonna go with,
No,
but just
yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
us
Go ahead.
carrying
Yeah.
but man, just like us carrying that name is huge, man. We didn't want to be no jokesters, man. We want to be straight savages, just how they were back in the day. Like we want to dominate anybody that steps foot in the ring with us. And Big Juicy, man, he's not blood related, but man, we accept him. He was trained by us, man. He's
Mhm.
still learning from me and Jacob constantly. And
Right.
he's just he's Tongan. So that's part of a Polynesian island with us. And man, we just, like I said, man, we just want to dominate and continue to carry that goal, man. But, you know, that's all
Yeah.
we got to do. But my
Right.
question is, who's next now?
Exactly. Maybe your daughter's up next. We'll have
Yeah,
to see.
man. But I'm not even talking about just that, man. I'm talking about an MLW. Like, who wants some, man? Like, we defeated
Oh, right.
everybody, man. All of our matches probably been under, besides that tag match, probably under 5 minutes long. All of our matches. So, man, we just been
Demolition.
dominating the tag team division.
Yeah. And I mean, kind of mentioned that passing of the torch from one generation to the next. Were there any, like, did you have to talk with MLW or your father kind of about bringing that name back to life? Or was it kind of just a thing that happened?
So right before I signed, they shot me the idea of using the name and who was in our group and everything, because everybody already knows there's gonna be Jacob part of it. um, and then I was iffy about it just because I want to hear more of the story. Because, like I said, I don't want to be a jokester. I don't want to be like it was all how it went. I don't want to ruin the name because now, man, look at like I just said, Paul Heyman's like he's shouting out the Samoan SWAT team, the
Yeah.
originals. The Samoan SWAT team action figures are coming out, like the original. And I just wanted to be able to carry that name with pride. And I'm happy how we're doing it and everything. It is something I did want to create on like change the name a little bit just to have more creative and to be more ourselves, not just to
Mhm.
carry that smaller SWAT team. I think the different name would have been good for us, but man, my dad, my uncles, everybody gave us that blessing to use the name, and that's what we doing, man. We just rocking out with it, and we're carrying that legacy.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm sure you're so proud to just kind of follow like directly in your father's footsteps with that. And I think that's awesome. And I mean, you've been in this business for a while now. How many years has it been? You said 13, I want to say?
13, man. 13.
13. So yeah, I mean, you've
31
appeared
years old,
on.
man. Just do the math, man. I'm getting old.
No, your prime hasn't even happened yet. Believe
Oh,
me.
I know,
Well,
man. A lot of,
I'm
like I
ready.
said,
Yeah,
man, a lot of things happening.
yeah, I'm ready. And I mean, yeah, you've appeared on different Raws, SmackDowns. You've had tryouts. I mean, it's a journey. And now you're the tag team champions in one of the hottest promotions in the world. How is that like sort of to reflect on your entire journey with all the highest ups, the lowest downs, with the huge win you just picked up?
Man, like you said, man, I had WWE tryouts, man. I had Impact tryouts. I had a match on Raw against Shane McMahon. I wrestled the Ascension. I wrestled AOP on
Hmm.
NXT, man. I've been there. I've done all that. And like like MLW beforehand, before I even signed the deal, they gave me the opportunity. They kept bringing me back, bringing me back. They want to see more. They gave me great singles matches against Rich Swan, MJF, um, Myron Reed, like a bunch of a lot of great talent that's out there. They gave me the opportunity, and for them to give me the opportunity to showcase on a platform, especially now we're on Reels TV, man. It's awesome, and they gave me the opportunity. WWE Pass, Impact Pass, and MLW is the one that rocked with me. So, I'm glad to be a part of that.
Yeah, and I mean, so yeah, just like I mentioned, I think it was what 12 days ago you picked up those tag team championships, and I mean, Jacob came in the ring, your father Sanu, and even more of your family. How cool is that sharing the ring with your family after with those belts and the original Samoan Swat Team?
Man, just being in the ring, like after winning that, man, like once the 3 count happened, man, it was emotional for me, man, because like I said, I've been doing it 13 years, and for me to win my first like big title, and then my entire family being there, my father being there, my mother, everybody just being there. It was very emotional, but at the same time, man, I was very proud. Like even my dad was telling me how proud he was of me. We all went in the back. We took our pictures. Me, Jacob, Juicy with my father. I wish my uncle Rikishi, everybody would have been there. But man, it's
Yeah,
all good. They were all there watching us, even on Reels TV on Tuesdays. Man, they could catch us.
yeah,
But
and I
man,
mean,
I loved it.
yeah, I'm sure that's a memory that's gonna last forever. And yeah, I mean, there's always the ups and downs, like I just mentioned with careers. Was there ever a time where, I mean, I know you mentioned earlier with like the COVID conversation where you stopped watching wrestling. Was there ever a time where you really like thought about quitting professional wrestling?
Man, yeah, there's always that thought that runs in your head, man. Like I see how people are like you know, the older they get, man, their body starts breaking down because wrestling is not easy, man. If it was easy, anybody around the block would do it.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of toll on your body, and for doing that as long as I have, man, doing the jumping, the high flying, and everything I've been doing, it does take a toll on your body, and just being there with my kids. I don't want to be 40 years old in a wheelchair or anything. I'm trying to protect my body so I could go to sports games, play catch with them, be able to do all
Mhm.
these things with them. So yeah, there was a time where I was giving up on wrestling. I gave hope. I wasn't getting signed. I wasn't, I gave 30. The magic 30 was honestly my number that I was.
Mhm.
If nothing's happening at 30, I'm calling it quits. I love it, but you know, I gotta be there for my family at the end of the day. And then,
Right.
I didn't hurry up and sign with MLW because of that reason, just
Mhm.
because they gave me the platform. But because they gave me the platform and they had a good storyline, that's the main reason why I went with them and to be with my family. Jacob, I'm close to home. I'm home almost every night.
Yeah.
Will I be willing to go to WWE, AEW? Who knows? Money talks, man. At the same time, man, my kids, I'm sure they want to see me there. But man, you just never know. And like you said, man, I haven't reached my prime, and I got a lot of things coming, man. And I think I'm just keep climbing the mountain.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, just regarding the Major League Wrestling roster in general, there's so much talent there. And I mean, you just mentioned some past MLW wrestlers, but even now, so many great wrestlers, just including your family alone. And I mean, just even new wrestlers making a name for themselves in the scene. And you got the veterans like John Hennigan. I mean, what has your relationship been with both the new wrestlers and the veterans behind the scenes?
Man, it's been awesome. Like I never really shared a locker room with Hennigan, man, but he's cool, man. Like I enjoy hearing stories, especially with him and Taya, man. Like we all just be chilling, and it's cool, man. Like he gives us knowledge. He just gave us all a shout out on one of the podcasts he just did, so that was real dope of him, man. And man, John Hennigan, man, like I'm a big fan. I always have been. Um, even like with Delirious, man, we got Lindsay in our locker room. We got new up and coming like Ray Jazz, part of the FBI. Uh,
Hmm.
you got Calvin Tank, man, who's a monster. Alex Kane, man, suplex master, man. You got Harry.
Yeah,
You got man RSP, man. We got everybody. And honestly, I don't know if y'all read it, but RSP is actually one of our agents now for MLW. So he's helping out a
all right.
lot along with
Wow,
me. I'm one of the newest MLW agents. So it's awesome, man. Like
that's
to
awesome.
look at that locker room and look at the talent, like and to be considered almost like one of the vets, man. It's weird to hear, man. Like I always called my dad and them vets, man, but to be in such a long huge roster and just be to consider one of them. Like you, man, we got Alex Hammerstone, Mance Warner, Matt Justice. Man, we're all there. Like it's a
Yeah.
killer of a roster.
Absolutely. And I mean, yeah, so you mentioned earlier you had a match with Shane McMahon. So this was a live episode of Raw, May of 2019. You got beaten by Drew McIntyre pre-match. We all knew the match was unfair. I mean, you're fighting the McMahon, so I mean,
Oh
it's gonna
yeah.
happen. But yeah, and then so you ended up losing, but then Roman came out and helped you out post-match. So I wanted to ask about that match. How did that match come about regarding like was it like the call up? Was it a tryout match or was it to build the angle with Shane and Roman or was it a mix of both or how did it come about?
So I think it was a kind of about both. It was a tryout match plus like to build up, because they were doing that big feud between them two. And I also just got off my WWE. So it was at the end of May. I was at the Performance Center in April. Sorry.
Hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, I got a random call on Friday or Saturday before, and they asked if I was available. And man, of course, WWE calls, man, you're available. It don't matter if you
Absolutely.
had plans, you're going to bar mitzvah. I don't care. You're available. But
Yeah.
nah, man, like I was there, and when they gave me that call, man, they said, "Yep, we're gonna take care of everything. We're bringing you out to Kansas City." So I flew from Philadelphia down to Kansas City. Um, Still not knowing what I'm doing. I just kind of just go. They tell you to go, you go.
Right.
So once I get to the building, Shane McMahon comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, it's me and you today." I said, "Oh." In the back of my mind, I knew the storyline, so I was like, "All
Yeah.
right, what's really gonna happen?" But
Right.
then when they said it was gonna be me and Shane, it was cool, man. Like, um, Shane been awesome. Shane, I wasn't sure how to see it because I never really met him before. But
Hmm.
man, he guided me the whole way. He asked me like what I want to do. He enjoyed just we sat ringside the whole time, just talking. We went to catering. He was with me the whole time in catering. Man, it was an awesome experience, and just to have Shane do that, like asking me for my input on things too, man. It was
Right.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome. Just someone like that's so high up in the business. I mean, his dad created the business and his grandfather, but I
Yeah,
mean it's so cool just like yeah, him like just like taking
like
care of you, asking what you want to
generation
do. Like
wrestlers, man. It was just talking, and
it's like a
it
click, yeah.
it was cool, man. Like I guess that's how we all are. I did the Super 8 tournament, and it was all generation wrestlers in
Hmm.
2019, and we all just clicked. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's just how it was with me and Shane, man. It was awesome. Like,
Yeah, and so you mentioned being in the PC prior to that match, the Performance Center. Regarding the WWE tryouts, I believe you've had more than one too. Is it? I mean, how really hard are those tryouts? Like, I mean, I know they push you, but like, is it some of the hardest things you've done like in the ring in your career? Like, is it physical? Is it more mental? Like, how do those go down?
man, man, that's the hardest thing. I've been there 3 times. I believe it was 2015, 2017, and 2019. So every 2 years, they were giving me the opportunity to go. I just kept hearing the same thing. I did get bigger like as time because my first time I was like 160 pounds. Then they wanted me to gain weight. Then I went up to two. Then I went up. The
Right.
story goes on, man. And but man, yeah, it's hard. It's tough. We meet great people. You meet great athletes. You got CrossFit. You got track stars. You got football players. You got all that, and then you're competing like in a weight room with all of them. Like me personally, I don't spend a lot of time at the gym, but man,
Mhm.
like just to watch these guys in there going hard, like but in the gym. But man, once it came to the in ring, I killed all the in ring. I killed everything that had to do with wrestling. I was
Right.
outshining all of them. I was doing all that. So I'm not sure exactly what they wanted, but just be able to be in there and blow up, man, and be sore, and it was like, man, like you said, man, it's the hardest thing I probably ever had to do.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, you said you've done 3 tryouts, so for that 2nd and 3rd one, especially the 3rd one, does knowing what to expect help you prepare for the tryout itself? Like, how did that go into your process of training for it?
So I think that's why I did get a little like my first one was brutal. You're there for 4 days,
Mhm.
nonstop drills. You're there for 8 hours just rolling around, running, cardio, you're doing mat work, you're doing everything, gym work. Uh, so then I think as time came on, I kept getting the email, they give you probably like a month, 2 months in advance notice that you're going down. So then you go, you prepare yourself. And I
Yeah,
think that's why between the second and third time, it got a little easier for me. It was still tough. Like they
yeah.
change up a lot of things, between my first tryout and my last tryout, there's two different head coaches. So it was, everybody got a different style. And my first head coach was very tough. My third one was even just as tough, but I was more prepared. I was mentally prepared for it.
Right, and you mentioned cardio and also something just important, April 8th upcoming in Philadelphia, we got the Battle Riot, one of MLW's biggest event they put on,
Oh
and
yeah.
you've been in every single
I'm
Battle
I'm
Riot, and
I'm Mr. Battle Riot, man.
yeah, and mentioning just, like, bringing in everything we just talked about of knowing what to expect and also the cardio, how important, is cardio in a wrestling match, especially of that length, and also knowing what to expect in that kind of match?
Man, well, first cardio on a treadmill, running around the block, man, and cardio on the ring are completely different things.
Mhm.
Everybody thinks that they can run a 6 minute mile or whatever it is, man, but it's not about that. It's about your breathing. Your body's getting whiplashed as you're running and doing all this stuff.
Right.
So it's tough. But man, being in every battle riot, I'm the only man on the entire roster that's gonna be in all 5 battle rides, and to
Mhm.
prepare myself, man, I do have to get, like, on the treadmill. I do gotta go, it is different, but it would help, um, but just to be there and hopefully the 5th time's the charm, I guess, and then that's why I call myself Mr. Battle Riot because nobody has ever done it, and, man, I'm
Right.
about to do it, and this time I'm about to come out on top, and if Alex Hammerstone is a champion or the real one, I don't care who it is, I'm taking them out right away the same night, man.
I love it. That's the attitude to come into it with, and,
Man, you got to, man. We got to be ready to go all the way, right away, man.
yeah, totally, and before we head off, with this conversation, I wanna know real quick your predictions, your family, WrestleMania on the horizon. We got Roman versus Cody. We have the Usos versus Sammy and Kevin Owens. What are you thinking for both of those matches?
Man, what you think, man? We always go with the
Well,
family, man. You got to. There's no doubt in the family, man. There's a reason why they've been holding on to the titles for so long, man. We run this business, man. We run the
yeah.
whole WWE, MLW, man. We running it all, and I don't think anything's gonna change, man.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, everyone just make sure to tune in every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern on Reels. Lance and Y is continuing tag team domination in MLW. Maybe he just said we'll see some singles competition. Alex Hammerstone, he's coming for you.
Oh
And I
yeah,
mean,
as soon as that battle riot's over, April 8th, man, be ready.
yeah, and with all that said, Lance, I mean, thanks again for just taking the time to come on here. This was great. I had a great time talking wrestling and everything else.
Of course, man. It's my favorite thing to talk about all the time, man. Nah, thanks
Totally.
for
Of
having me, man.
course, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem, man.